What does it smell like?
Candy?
Candy? Howdy guys and gals, welcome to another episode of Shoot from the Hip. This week I want to share with you 3 tips for getting buttery, smooth bokeh, aka blurry backgrounds to make your subject pop. The first tip is to use a large aperture, basically a low f number. To illustrate this, I'm going to take 3 shots of this scene right here, one at f11, another at f4, and the last one at my lowest possible f number, 1.2. With the aperture set to f11, you can see how everything is in focus. Now, if I adjust my aperture down to f4, you can see that the background is starting to soften. If I lower my aperture even further, down to 1.2, you can see how smooth the background becomes. For all my aspiring filmmakers, here's what some footage looks like at f11, f4, and f1.2. By capturing footage with a really low f number, we can get a cool cinematic look. The lowest aperture f number is determined by your lens, so if you have the kit lens and you can't get very low, you're going to have to upgrade that to something like a prime lens. I really recommend getting yourself a 50mm f1.8. I'll put links to all my favorite 50mm primes for all the different brands down below. The next tip is to get closer to the subject. The closer you get, the shallower the depth of field becomes, and what this does is it smooths out the background and puts all the focus on your subject. In this example, I shot the same scene with the same exact settings at different distances, starting out at 5 feet, 3 feet, and then 1 foot. You can see the closer you get, the smoother that background becomes. Here's a little bonus tip. In addition to getting close to the subject, you also want to create some distance in the background. So reposition the subject if you can, and create some distance to blur that background even more. In this shot, I was about 3 feet away from my subject, but you can see the background is right behind it. So I moved the table, took the same shot from 3 feet away, and you can see how much blurrier the background is. The last and final tip is to zoom in. You want to use a longer focal length or a longer lens. What this does is it shortens up the depth of field and creates a blurrier background. In this shot, I'm standing about 5 feet away. I have my lens set to 18mm, aperture set to f2.8, and you can see that background is really not out of focus. In the second shot, I'm still about 5 feet away, but I've zoomed in a little bit to 35mm. My aperture is still set to f2.8, and you can see that background is starting to blur. In this final shot, I've zoomed all the way in to 55mm on my lens. My aperture is still set to f2.8, and you can see how smooth and silky that background is. If you're searching for a lens that can produce really creamy bokeh, you want to find one that has a really long focal length and a really low aperture f number. If you're in the market for a BOKEHLICIOUS lens, I'll put a couple links down below so you can check them out. I hope this has helped you understand how to get better bokeh. Until next time, hope you guys have a great rest of the week. Happy clicking.